you all got this document, right, that was available. How many weeks before the semester began?
3.
Yeah, at least 3 weeks before the semester began. And this is our roadmap. So today what we're going to talk about is segmentation, which is chapter 9 in the book. And in addition to today's lecture, remember in our syllabus I included the links to my lectures for each of the chapters. So everybody's clear about that? So I have already a pre-recorded lecture for each of the chapters that we're covering this semester. And each lecture is 1 hour and 15 minutes. So you could go on YouTube and watch those lectures. It's a good way to supplement our discussion today. And we're also today, for our syllabus, the Prince video case study is due. The Prince case is about segmentation. It's about how this company, Prince, segmented the sportswear market. So at the end of the chapter, there's the written case, and on Blackboard, I had, at the beginning of the semester, well actually before the semester began, I uploaded the video clip for the Prince case study. That's what's due tonight. So the questions for that case and for all the cases this semester are on Blackboard. The video clips are there for the cases, and also in the syllabus the written case questions are available. So you can work ahead. So let's start off talking about segmentation. What is segmentation? What is segmentation?
When a company divides their products into smaller groups to market itself.
Well, let's make a clarification to that, because one, you're talking about, sounds like you're talking a little bit about the portfolio of the company, which remember in chapter 2 we talked about doing portfolio analysis. And so you're right, we want to, as part of portfolio analysis, we want to look at the different product lines and evaluate them. But segmentation, yeah, Myles. Myles, tell us, what is segmentation? All right, everybody pay attention. Go ahead, here we go.
When you aggregate
no pressure
groups that have the same needs, similar needs, and they will respond similar to the marketing now.
Absolutely. So what we're trying to do when we segment the market is we're going to aggregate consumers which have similar needs and wants, right? That's one of the criteria for segmentation. So Myles is telling us that one of the criteria is that the individuals have similar needs and wants. So Myles is telling us that we're going to aggregate consumers into these groups that have similar needs and wants. Or another way to look at it is to say that we're going to divide the market into sub-markets. What else? What else? Where's Susanna? All right, don't get nervous. I'm going to ask you a question. Susanna, besides similar needs and wants, right, now that we established what segmentation is, tell us what is another criteria for segmentation? Because when we segment the market, it's got to be in a way that's going to make sense for our business, in our category. So we're going to talk about different segmentation approaches, and you certainly could segment the market that way, but the question is that going to make sense in the beverage category? Is that going to make sense in the shampoo category? Right? And Crystal is sitting here thinking, now what does this man know about shampoo? Right? But still, you'd be surprised. So we're going to talk about the different ways to segment the market, but we still have to say to ourselves, does this make sense? Have we found homogeneous, right, similar needs and wants with these consumers? And we're going to group them together. Now remember, we might have 6 different segments. Within those segments, they're going to have similar needs and wants. But amongst them, the needs and wants are going to be different. And that's what makes segmentation so important for us. And remember, it's got to be actionable. It can't just be interesting, it's got to be actionable, something that we could apply to our business. So what else? So what do you think, Susanna? What is another criteria besides similar needs and wants that we're going to look for when we segment a market? What's another criteria?
Like the same price range, like different products for different price ranges, like depending on what you want to use it for.
Well, it sounds like you're talking about the application, because remember, after we segment the market and we identify these different categories, the key is for us to be able to bring that segmentation approach to life. So there's got to be an application. Remember, we said it's not just interesting. Of course, it might be interesting, but it's got to be actionable. We do segmentation so that we could implement it in the marketplace. We could use that as the basis for our marketing strategy and our tactics. So, what do you think? Go ahead, tell us.
Potential for profit increase?
It could be. So segments that, one of the criteria you're saying is that there'll be an increase in profit?
Well, the potential to have the increase in profit. To decide whether or not they want to add a segment that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're taking us someplace a little bit different, which is why would we segment? So absolutely, one of the reasons why we want to segment a market is because we want to increase our sales and our profitability. But Mulan, tell us.
Those consumers need to respond to the marketing action in the same way.
Right, so they're going to respond to the marketing mix in a similar way. Who can tell me what is the marketing mix? Yana.
The 4 Ps.
The 4 Ps. And what are the 4 Ps?
Price, product, promotion.
Right, so the marketing mix is known as the 4 Ps: price, place, promotion, and product. So that's when we talk about responding to the marketing mix in a similar way. That means that in that segment, in that given segment, the consumers have a similar need and want. And when we say they can respond to the marketing mix in a similar way, it means that, for example, at a certain price, they're going to purchase. So that's, who was it who just said about the price points? Susanna, right? You were saying about the different price points. So you're right. That would be an example of the application. So when we talk about they're going to respond to the marketing mix in a certain way, well, the application is that we're going to have products at different price points, like the iPad, right? Is the iPad a good example? How many people here have an iPad? Okay, so quite a few. Quite a few. They're at different price points. There's iPads that are at $6.99, $5.99, $4.99, $3.99. Yeah, so Jonathan is telling us that there are different versions. The reason why they have iPads at different price points is because they've done a segmentation analysis. They segmented the market and understand that at $3.99, a group of consumers are going to have similar needs and wants. They're going to respond to the marketing mix in a similar way. And what else? What's another criteria for segmentation?
It needs to be reachable.
Reachable. So, Melania says that the segment needs to be reachable. Who can explain to us what that means if we say that the consumers, let's say the target market, is reachable? Annie, you want to give it a shot?
Like you could reach out to them and actually communicate with the people that you're trying to sell them.
Yeah, so in other words, if the segment is reachable, that means that there's a way for us to communicate with them so that we know what programs they watch, on TV. We know what radio stations they listen to. We know what magazines they read. So if we identify a segment, we've got to be able to reach them. Otherwise, how are we going to advertise? Where is our marketing communications going to come from? So again, it can't be just interesting. It can't just be a segment of people that have tattoos. Okay, that's interesting. I'd like to understand how many people in the United States have tattoos, and the different types of tattoos, and the different colors of tattoos, and the reasons for having a tattoo. Right? There's different motivations for people to have tattoos. I'd be interested in knowing that, but if we're going to market a product or a service to them, it's got to be reachable. That's what Annie is saying. We've got to be able to reach them. We need to find out, okay, if we're going to provide a service, if we're going to want to sell a service to individuals that have tattoos, we need to know what magazines do they read. What radio stations do they listen to? Questions about that? Does that make sense? So are we clear on why we say that the segments that we identify have got to be reachable? So it can't just be theoretical. That's interesting. It's okay, right, to be interesting. But if we're going to be successful in marketing our product or service, we have to be able to communicate. That's what marketing communications is all about. How many people here have a tattoo? How many here have a tattoo but don't want to raise their hand? So tattoos are pretty popular. I think that now, I think tattoos are more popular than they've ever been. Again, people get tattoos for different reasons. Either some are for memorial purposes. There's a lot of different reasons that somebody would have a tattoo. So we have, these are so far we've identified 3 criteria: reachable, responds to the marketing mix in similar ways, similar needs and wants. What's another criteria? Yeah, large. So the segment should be large. Why is it important for the segment to be large? When we segment the market, why is the segment being large important? Go ahead, Yana.
Because you want to be able to target more than just one specific group. It's a specific group, but it's still more general than just that one very, very specific small group.
So, can I paraphrase what you said?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase what Yana just said. So in other words, we're looking for commonality. Remember we said we're looking for consumers that have similar needs and wants, because we can't target every segment. Remember, we start with segmentation. First we're segmenting. Then we're going to quantify those segments, which is what? When we quantify segments, what is that called? Who could tell me? Sophia, you want to give us a shot? No? Okay, no pressure. Corey, what do you think? When we're quantifying segments, there's a term that we use in marketing. If we're quantifying the segment. Right. Exactly. Market sizing. That's what we're doing here. Market sizing. And yes, we could also look at, also importantly, we're going to look at the growth rate. Targeting, after we quantify the size of the market and the growth rate, we're going to have to target certain segments. Maybe we've identified 8 segments, but then we're going to look at, well, which segments are small, which segments are large, because we're going to need to focus. Today in the marketplace, companies that are on the New York Stock Exchange, for example, they're being rewarded for focus, which means that they're not trying to be all things to all people. they're focusing on a core competence that the organization has. So they want to be the best at what they are. So remember we talked about the beverage category? We said that there's different segments in the beverage category. In fact, I've done consulting for beverage companies, so this is something I know a little bit about. The beverage market in the United States is over $200 billion at retail on an annual basis. But there's multiple segments. Which do you think is the largest beverage segment in the United States? Go ahead, Jonathan. Well, Coca-Cola is a brand, but in terms of the category, when we're dividing the market into sub-markets, go ahead, tell us.
Like soft drinks, like the soft drinks, waters.
Well, soft drinks is certainly one segment. So we have soft drinks, soda.
Alcohol.
Who said that? You? Jonathan?
Yes.
You know something about alcohol?
Yes.
You do? All right. So everybody see Jonathan after class. In the United States, 60% of the beverage market is alcohol. So we have to decide as an organization when we segment the market which one of these segments we're going to focus on. Because we can't focus on all the segments. Even large companies have limited resources. Coca-Cola has said many times when they've been asked, because Coca-Cola sells soda, they sell water, they sell orange juice. But when asked, well, what about alcohol? They said, no, we don't want to be distracted. We don't want to lose focus on non-alcoholic beverages. That's their area of focus, is non-alcoholic beverages.
Who sells the most alcohol?
Who sells the most alcohol? Well, so then we got to ask ourselves, how do we define the category? Is it just alcohol as a segment, or are there different sub-segments? So for example, what about, for example, beer, liquor, and wine? So we have to understand who's the market share leader, right? That's something that interests Stephen, is in market share. We've been outside of class, we've been having discussions about how do we determine the market share of different companies. So we have to decide how we define the market to understand, are you the market share leader in the beer category, the market share leader in the wine category, and then within liquor, we have what? Vodka, what else?
Cognac,
Bourbon.
whiskey,
What else? Anything else? Rum? What else?
Tequila.
tequila,
Tequila.
liqueur.
So market share is important because it helps us understand our performance relative to the competition. You know that the Oreo brand, which has annual sales of over $500 million, is that a lot? Does that seem like a lot to you? Oreos. Yes, $500 million worth of cookies each year. Their tagline for quite a while was America's favorite cookie. And the reason why they had to stop using that tagline is because of market share challenges. So their competitors challenged them in the courts and said, we've taken Professor Bassell's marketing course. We know what market share is. If you're saying that you're America's favorite cookie, then that means what? That you are the market share leader. And they said, Sophia, they said, you're not the market share leader. They said, we are. They said, no. They said, in grocery, you're the market share leader. But that's only one channel of distribution. So that's one of the 4 P's. Place, distribution. But distribution doesn't start with a P. So place means distribution. Yeah, from the first day I told you, I'm keeping it real. Right? I want it to be practical for you, not theoretical. So I tell you the real deal. So they challenged them based on the market share. They said, no, you're not America's favorite cookie. You're only the market share leader in the grocery channel, but not in the convenience store channel, not in the drugstore channel. So grocery is not the only channel of distribution for cookies. So now they changed their tagline to Milk's favorite cookie. Clever, right? A great example of marketing. And they are. They are an outstanding marketing organization. So now that we talked about the criteria for segmentation and what's going to happen after we segment the market, let's talk about, and we looked at an example, different ways that we could segment a given market. What are some of the ways that we could segment a market?
Geographically?
Geographic, absolutely. So what does that mean, though, if we say we're going to segment the market geographically? Nusrat? Good. Tell us. Where's Samaya? Okay, but you're here. That's what's important. All right, I'm listening. Go ahead. Right, absolutely. So different regions, countries. Now, certainly we could segment any market geographically. But remember, the challenge is to understand if whether or not that's relevant to the product and service that we're selling. So remember, if we segment the market geographically, we're saying that those segments have similar needs and wants and are going to respond to the marketing mix in a similar way. So if this is the world, and we segment the market by regions, right? Nusrat said we're going to segment the market by regions. We have, let's say, what? What are some of the regions in the world? Go ahead. Well, I like to think so, but at a higher level, right? North America, and I heard somebody over here say Asia. South America, Europe, well, what are we missing here? Latin America. So, depending on our product or service, we need to make sure that if we segment the market for, let's say, for soda, if we segment the market for soda this way, and we identify these segments, then, importantly, we have to make sure that each of these segments are going to have similar needs and wants, and are going to respond to the marketing mix in a similar way. Now you say, okay, well, what's wrong with that? Well, maybe there is no difference between the needs and wants for soda in North America and South America, or between any of these, actually. So you need to understand that an approach to segmenting markets is geographic. So you're right, one approach to segmenting a market is geographic. But it's got to be relevant to our product and service. Questions about that? Go ahead, Jonathan.
How about like when I went to Costa Rica, they have like their own line of like beer, and like they don't have in the States, or like or in other countries, I guess. So what kind of are those certain segments?
And so what happened is, what you're talking about, Jonathan, is what happens after you segment the market is the implementation. So they found out, like you said, like in Costa Rica, that the needs and wants are different, and they're going to respond to the marketing mix in a different way, or in that segment in a similar way. So they introduced, what was the takeaway for them? Is they introduced a brand into that marketplace that would represent, that they would use to market to that segment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because like they have it everywhere. Like in Israel, they have their own, like a local beer. Like, what you're saying.
Yeah. So, like for example, in the automotive industry, what did Toyota do? Toyota, they segmented the market, and so what they did as a result of their segmentation is they implemented a brand hierarchy. So remember, segmentation is something that we do that's analytical, but there's got to be an application for our business. There's got to be a takeaway. It has to impact our marketing strategy and our tactics. And for them, what they did was, because of that analysis, what they did was they introduced 3 master brands. What are the 3 master brands in the United States that Toyota has? Who could tell me? Who could tell me one? Go ahead. Lexus is one of their master brands, absolutely. Right? Scion is another. And Toyota.
I thought that was Nissan.
No, Nissan has a different brand hierarchy. This is for Toyota, motor sales.
Prius is actually its own now too.
What was that?
Prius is now a 4th one. They have like 3 different Prius models.
Oh, interesting. Tell us your name.
Ian?
Ian. All right. And Ian raised an interesting point. This here is the corporate brand. These are the master brands. And what Ian has identified for us are one of Toyota's sub-brands. So Ian is right. Toyota has sub-brands. So what we have here is a brand hierarchy. And Ian says that Toyota has a sub-brand called Prius. That's right. So a brand hierarchy is going to illustrate the corporate brand, the master brands, and the sub-brands. This is based on segmentation that the company did. So this is the practical application. They segmented the market, and then what did they do with that information? They developed this brand hierarchy.
Well, but they actually turned Prius in from just being a sub-brand with like Camry and Corolla and stuff like that. They changed it into a master brand, and now they have like multiple Prius models that are different.
Like what? What's
They have like the Prius C, which is like the smaller little like city Prius, and they have a normal Prius, and the Prius B, which is like for families or whatever. And
so
then
my question is that C, that designation C or V, is that a sub-brand, or is that an example of a product code or a model number? Right. So companies will have, companies as part of their strategic plan, they might have sub-brands, and of course each brand is going to have different models, different model numbers, product codes. So yeah, I would say that what you described, what was it, V?
yeah.
Yeah.
V or C, whatever.
Right, V is simply a model.
I see what you're saying, yeah, because they're all still Toyotas, I guess. So.
Right, so it's all, and you look at the way it's marketed, Toyota, Prius. Now, why would you have, what's the benefit of this brand hierarchy? Why would you have this relationship between the master brand and the sub-brand? What are you hoping to gain? Yana, go ahead.
Well, each one of the master brands has a certain criteria to it that fits certain people. I think we talked about it last time, good, better, best.
So this is an example. So their pricing strategy is Good, better, best. And so, based on that, each of these brands has its own identity. It has its own personality, its own positioning in the market. So positioning is the space that the brand occupies in the consumer's mind. So what are some of the other sub-brands that Toyota has? Camry. Corolla. What else?
Land Cruiser.
Yes? Linus, Avalon, right?
RAV4.
Echo. Yep. RAV4.
Tacoma.
Which one?
Tacoma? It's a pickup.
Tacoma, yeah. So those are all sub-brands. And importantly, the master brands have a tremendous amount of equity, a very high level of awareness. That's why we want to create this relationship between the master brand and the sub-brands. That's why it's always marketed as Toyota Corolla, Toyota Avalon, Toyota Echo. Why? Because the awareness level for Toyota is very high. But let's say we just decided to introduce a car and called it Echo. How many cars do you think you would sell called Echo? Like if us as a team. So me as your coach, we form a company and we decide we're going to sell cars and we introduce a car called Echo. How many cars do you think we're going to sell?
2, 3.
And just imagine if we introduced a car that was called Nova. Then we would really have a problem. But if we introduce a car that's called Echo, we're not going to sell very many. But if you introduce a car that's called Toyota Echo, now what do you think?
Because it has that branding and that
You think we're going to sell a lot, Yana?
Yeah, I actually have a question.
Okay.
Just to go back to beverages for a second. Coca-Cola actually has their version of beer, but they only sell them in Mexico. I only know this because I've been to Mexico and I flipped the back of the can and I saw it's a Coca-Cola brand. So would that be considered like a segmentation specifically for Mexico, like that area in particular?
So they introduced the brand into Mexico, a type of beer.
Yes, it's called Sol.
Right, so as part of their product portfolio, they have, you're telling me that they have a brand called Sol, a brand of beer called Sol.
Beer, yeah.
Right, so is that a type of segmentation? It's not a type of segmentation, it's part of their product assortment.
Yeah.
So they decided to sell beer in Mexico, which is interesting. I would suspect that it's part of a joint venture. So in other words, they're leveraging the manufacturing facility of a local producer, and there's advantages to doing that for Coca-Cola and also for their partner as well. But historically, they haven't expressed, I mean, obviously they're a huge company. The Coke brand itself is valued at $70 billion. So in the past, they expressed no interest in selling alcohol. That wasn't consistent with their mission and their values and their focus. But they are opportunistic, and based on what you're telling me, they decided that they're going to bottle beer in Mexico. Well, hopefully it's better than the Chevy Nova, but we'll see what happens. But importantly, their focus is on the Sol brand. The fact that it's distributed by Coca-Cola, most people don't know that. Now in this case, they feel that they want to have a brand that's more relevant to the local market. Or maybe they feel that their positioning, their identity, the Coke identity, is so closely tied to non-alcoholic beverages that they wouldn't be able to sell it under the Coke brand. You know what that's called? When we do that type of research, is brand elasticity research. What we're trying to find out is how far we could stretch the Coke brand. or how far we could stretch the Toyota brand. So for example, when we think about the elasticity of Toyota, what about if Toyota introduced a soda? Toyota soda. What do you think? Samantha, she's like, yeah, bring it. Right? No? You see, there's got to be brands over time, especially power brands, create an identity for themselves. And importantly, they create associations that are strong, unique, and favorable. So as part of the identity, how do you create that identity? You create associations with your brand. And those associations got to be strong, unique, and favorable. So once you do that and you have that association with non-alcoholic beverages, or you have that association with cars, then how are you going to, right? Like, who's going to buy Toyota soda? Even though Toyota represents quality, reliability, durability, but Toyota soda? I mean, their tagline is moving forward, right? Moving forward. The thing that amazes me about that marketing approach, which I would want to say also that their marketing, they're actually an excellent marketing organization, Toyota, but there's something that's, that they're not sharing. You know, they say that they're moving forward. What do you think about moving forward? Okay, that sounds kind of innovative, but what they don't tell you in their advertisement is moving forward whether you want to or not. Right? You remember only a couple of years ago, their cars would suddenly accelerate from 0 to 90 miles an hour. So moving forward is, yeah, is like, yeah, maybe it's like kind of a little bit of an overpromise. I think it's going to exceed, Denise, it's going to exceed customers' expectations. What do you think, Brandon? Right? I mean, isn't that like you would never expect a car to move forward, right, on its own? Right? That's, and in that category, yeah, that's a little bit of a concern.
They're actually changing it, though.
Yeah, companies change their taglines over time. Taglines are more enduring than slogans. Slogans for advertising campaigns could change every 3 months, every 6 months. It depends on how effective the campaign is. What is one of the indications of advertising campaign's effectiveness? What do you think? How do we know if the advertising is working? More sales is one indication. And what else? The level of brand awareness. So how many people are going to recognize the brand when they see it, or be able to recall from memory the brand name? Yes, right. There's an app on the iPhone that quizzes you to see if you recognize different symbols for different companies. So you want to see, do you recognize a symbol for Mercedes? Do you recognize a symbol for Nike? So we could measure that. We could do branding research to understand if there's been any changes in the level of awareness, and also any changes in the perceptions and attitudes towards our brand. So in other words, maybe a year ago we did research and we found out that the perception was that our brand was associated with a low quality product. So they thought that our brand means low quality. So then we introduced an advertising campaign to try and make people aware of the fact that no, actually quality is very important in our organization. And that that's a focus area for us. And that our products are high quality. And they explain to you why they're able to achieve high quality. So then a year later, we do some research to find out, do they still think that our brand is associated with a low quality product? So if we see that now, instead of 10% of people thinking our product is high quality, now 70% of the people that we surveyed think that our brand is a high quality, then we know that our advertising is being effective. So we talked about demographic segmentation, psychographic, we talked about benefit segmentation, that was the toothpaste example, and behavioral, well, yeah, behavioral, which, let's for now use, add usage rate, which is something we didn't talk about. So what is the usage rate? One of the ways that we can segment the market is based on the usage rate. What does that mean?
How often they use the product?
Right, how often do you use the product? What is the frequency that you use the product? So what we do is we label the segments. We label the segments as, in terms of the usage rate, as low, moderate, and heavy. That's the usage rate. So who can explain this? Why does this make sense from a segmentation approach? What is it that we believe about each one of these segments?
Because you don't want to spend money and time and segregating to a market that don't really use your product.
Well, that's going to help us to make that decision, is based on this usage rate, which of these segments are we going to focus on? What are we going to do about this insight? So we found out that 20% of the people that use our product on a limited basis, 30% are moderate users, and 45% are heavy users, and then we could even add 5% for non-users. So our hypothesis, if you will, is that each one of these segments have similar needs and wants and responds to the marketing mix in a similar way. And so our marketing strategy, we're going to customize marketing and strategy, tactics, marketing strategy and marketing tactics for each of these segments. So what would be, for example, let's say, being that 20% of our customers have a low usage rate, what could we do to increase the usage rate? You see why this is so important? Segmentation is critical. This is a very important concept in marketing. And that's why we're taking the time today to also reinforce some of the things that we talked about last time. Because this is so important to marketing because of the implications that it has on our strategies and tactics for the organization. So it's not just analytical, theoretical. It's going to have an application. It's going to impact our branding strategy. So, and our approach to advertising and the other marketing mix elements. So who can tell us? If we have a segment here that has a low usage rate, let's say our product is orange juice. So you have different beverages that you could consume. It could be orange juice, it could be milk, it could be soda. And some of those beverages we might describe as direct competitors and some as indirect competitors. What could we do to increase the usage rate for orange juice?
Tell all the benefits of orange juice.
Tell all the benefits, absolutely. So communicate the benefits, which would be what, for example?
Like vitamin A, vitamin C.
Right, so vitamin C, absolutely. So orange juice is known to have a high level of vitamin C relative to other beverages. Absolutely, so communicate the benefits. Maybe that's one of the reasons. I'm sorry, what is your name?
Mike.
Mike, so what Mike is saying is that, well, maybe people aren't buying orange juice because they don't realize that it has a high level of vitamin C. Right? So yeah, we need to let people know that. Then that might increase the usage rate. There might be some people who are like, oh wow, I didn't know. Susanna?
Oh, like put it in TV shows, so it shows like famous people are drinking it?
Absolutely. So in marketing, that's known as product placement. So what is one of your favorite shows? Which one? Okay. So let's say in that show, you have Yana, you watch that too? Okay. Let's say that in that show, what you do is you show people drinking orange juice. Right? And if people are drinking orange juice, then that's going to help to promote sales of orange juice. Now, you know that milk and orange juice are actually competitors.
Breakfast drinks.
Yeah, they're both drinks that are typically consumed for breakfast, but
Yeah, calcium.
yeah, go ahead, tell us.
I would say calcium.
Yeah, so orange juice realized that people, just like we just discussed, like why are people drinking orange juice, and it has, Mike says that orange juice has vitamin C and people are not aware of that, so we need to build awareness that one of the product benefits is that orange juice has vitamin C, but milk is known to be high in calcium and have vitamin A and vitamin D. So orange juice companies started promoting their products as having calcium and vitamin A and vitamin D because they were trying to get more people to use the product.
And then orange juice started doing like less sugar, like 100 calorie juices, because milk has a lot of calories and a lot of sugar sometimes in it. And then almond milk started saying that they have way more calcium than milk or juice, so you should just drink that instead.
Yeah, so there's a difference between indirect and direct competitors. A competitor being indirect is not a way for us to group competitors that we're not going to focus on. Actually, the reverse is true. Because, for example, the direct competitors for Tropicana is what? Minute Maid.
Like Florida's orange.
Yeah, all these other brands of orange juice. So you say, well, that makes sense. Who am I competing against? Minute Maid. Well, yeah, Minute Maid, they market orange juice. That's our competitor. But what about other competitors? So, for example, there's substitutes for orange juice. People could buy other beverages. If they're thirsty, they could drink other beverages. And they found out that one of the other beverages is milk. And milk, interestingly, the milk industry also is focusing on orange juice because they both industry experts see them as being competitors of each other. So have you seen the Got Milk campaign? The Got Milk campaign is an attempt to promote the consumption of milk. So they're not talking about the brands, different brands of milk, just to increase the consumption of milk. And talk about, as it relates to milk, like Mike was saying about orange juice, the benefits of milk.
Was the Got Milk campaign like from the government or
No, it was based on trade associations in the dairy market came together and they paid for the campaigns because they said, you know what? My competition is not this milk farmer and this milk farmer and this milk farmer and that milk farmer. They said, yeah, I know. Either they're going to buy milk from him or they're going to buy milk from her or they're going to buy milk from me. But you know what? You know what I really need to be worried about? Is orange juice. People are drinking orange juice. Why are they drinking so much orange juice? And that's what became, that was the catalyst for them to promote consumption of milk as a category, to create what we call category need, to create primary demand. Those terms are interchangeable, primary demand and category need. So those are some ways that we could increase the usage rate. So you see, that's an example of taking something that's analytical, theoretical, and then saying, now that we've done this, now that we segmented the market, that's what we've done here, is we segmented the market. What are we going to do about it? So Mike says we need to advertise and tell people that our product has vitamin C. We need to have promotions, like BOGO, buy one, get one. So when you go into Pathmark, you buy one, half gallon of orange juice, and you get another half gallon for free. So we're going to have, don't get all choked up now. See how dear to this stuff is to my heart? You see? I mean, I can't even, I'm just like, so we could have promotions, we're going to advertise, we're going to have consumer promotions and also trade promotion. So consumer promotion is buy one, get one. But we could also offer promotions to the retailers to carry our product and to promote it. What else? What else could we do?
We could show people that orange juice isn't just for breakfast, you can have it for lunch.
Right, absolutely. So tell them that it's a beverage that you could drink anytime, because there's definitely this perception that orange juice is for breakfast. So what we're trying to do is change the use occasion. That's what we call it, the use occasion. What is the use occasion? So you're saying, well, the perception is that the use occasion is for breakfast. But now we need to change that. Communicate to people and convince people that, no, it's not just for breakfast, but it could be for lunch, it could be for a snack, it could be during dinner, it could be after dinner. And you know what? Maybe after dinner you have some orange juice and then put a little Grey Goose in there. That's right. You wouldn't want to do that with milk. So you want to increase the use of the product. Yes, you could do that. Advertise mixed drinks. So absolutely. So complementary products. So absolutely. So why can't you have a campaign that, like, partner with a vodka company to promote the use of these two products together? So maybe the consumption of both will increase. So you drink more, so what would you tell them? Drink vodka and orange juice, and you'll be healthy, right? You won't get the flu. You'll have a high level of vitamin C. Where is it? Oh, really? Okay, we'll have to look for it. What else? What else could we do to increase the usage rate?
Well, taking people to the farm where the oranges come from and they show to them. It's not
So education, absolutely. Educating the consumer.
Tastes better.
taste, so why not have a taste test? Give them free samples. Is that a good idea? Give free samples of orange juice. You want people to drink orange juice, maybe they think that it doesn't taste good. It can't taste as bad as vodka, right? So give them free samples. Why not come to campus and stand in front of Whitehead and let people taste the Tropicana orange juice? Or give them, what? Coupons. Why not give them coupons? That's going to help to increase trial of our product. Give them a coupon for a free half-gallon of orange juice. Or give them a coupon for $2.50 off. Do you think that would work? Do you think if people got a coupon for a free half-gallon of orange juice, if they said, you know what? This week, no milk. Orange juice for everybody. What do you think, Jonathan? With a little, right? So this is a practical application of segmentation. Yeah, it's interesting, but what are we going to do about it? See how all these things that we talked about as part of our marketing strategies and tactics. All because, right, we talked about all these different strategies and tactics because of this usage rate segmentation. And importantly, some of the strategies and tactics are going to differ for those that are low usage and those that are heavy usage. Do you agree? Like, for example, Mike told us that if we want the low usage consumers to drink more orange juice, you need to tell them about the benefits. You need to tell them that, hey, this has vitamin C. Vitamin C is good for you. But for the heavy usage consumers, do we need to tell them that? What do we, in our advertising campaign, remember we said most commercials, most TV commercials are 15 seconds. We're not going to have the same commercial for each of these segments. Does that make sense? The messaging is going to be different. Mike is right. For these people, hey, let's try this. Let's tell them that this has vitamin C, one of the key benefits. And now it also has calcium, and A, vitamin A and vitamin D. So we're going to build awareness of those benefits of the product. But what about these people? They're already buying 6 half-gallons of orange juice a week. What is the message to them going to be? You want to tell them the same thing? Hey, by the way, this has vitamin C and calcium. They're already buying 3 gallons a week. Why do we need to tell them that? We need to tell them different messaging that's going to either increase their usage rate or minimize their buyer's remorse, which is also known as post-cognitive dissonance. Like, for example, go ahead.
If you're segmenting this into low, medium, and heavy usage, and I didn't really see the point of the non-usage because obviously, you know, you're just segmenting people that are using it, right? So then I don't really see the point of the 5% because 5% of what? You know, 5% of America, 5% of the world, like it didn't really say. You know,
so of the market, so of those
of like the beverage market,
right?
I didn't really get like 5% of what.
Okay, yeah, I'm just giving this as an example. So we would have to decide. You're right. Is it the beverage market? Yeah, it could be. It could be the United States. It could be like somebody said before. It could just be New York City. It depends where our focus is going to be. It could be North America. It could be Latin America. So maybe in North America, 5% of those who consume beverages don't consume orange juice. So you're absolutely right. If this is going to be more meaningful to us, we need to define within what context, within what market. But based on our research, we're making the assumption that we found out that 5% don't drink orange juice at all. It's not that they only drink 1 glass a week, or they only drink 1 glass a month. they don't drink orange juice at all. Why? Why don't they drink orange juice? That's what we need to find out. We need to ask those questions in research to find out, what is the substitute? Do they drink cranberry juice? Do they drink pineapple juice? Do they drink grapefruit juice? Or do they just not drink juice at all? Maybe they drink milk. You see? That's right. All you need is milk. That's their mantra. Milk and Oreos. So why do you need to even get involved with orange juice? I meant orange juice. Why? Why bother with that? You got milk and Oreos? Life is grand, right? What else do you need? And the vodka. Right? That's it.
Well, we need orange juice to mix with vodka.
Yeah. Kinda, yeah. You got Oreos and milk. But not really.
No,
Grey Goose, you could drink that straight. But as long as it's in moderation, everything in moderation. Right? I know none of you drink alcohol anyway, but I'm just saying, in case you why are you laughing? What did I say? In case you did, in moderation, right? All right, so what are we going to do with, how is our messaging going to be different for those that are heavy users? What are we going to tell them?
You could probably tell them like they live a healthier lifestyle and like they live longer. And I don't know, they did this with the coffee thing. They said people who drink coffee are more innovative and all this other, bullshit.
So, what we're trying to do is convince them they made the right decision. That, yes, drinking orange juice is going to make you healthy, and you're going to be more productive, and you're going to do better on your exams, and you're going to be able to pursue graduate studies, and importantly, get a good job, and all because you drink orange juice. Now think about, have you ever experienced any type of buyer remorse? I mean, have you like gone into Best Buy and purchased a iPad for $699, which, by the way, the tax on that is like $50, right? So $699 sounds nice. But then by the time you're out of there, it's almost like $800. And then get home and think, did I do the right thing? Is this really, why did I do this? Why did I get the 64 gigabyte one with the Retina display? Why did I just get the 16 gigabyte without the Retina display? Maybe I paid too much money. Is it really worth it? Am I really going to be able to do my marketing homework on this? Can I really watch Coach's YouTube videos on this thing?
64 on the Retina.
Yeah, you checked it out. You see, Jonathan is already watching Coach on YouTube on his iPad. Some of my students, they tell me that they make their children watch the YouTube videos. I told them that I thought that was cruel and unusual punishment.
Oh, we were talking about how the oranges, when we just say it sounded ridiculous, like, oh, you're going to get a better job and stuff, but like Sunny Delight, I remember Sunny D were like, they showed a commercial where the kids were little, they're like, give your kids Sunny D, and they showed them as they got older,
right.
They got better jobs, they became like Olympic winners and stuff. Sunny D, and they'll win the Olympics.
Yes, right. Definitely. So that we're going to have a brand promise. What is our value proposition? We're going to have a brand promise, and you remember I told you about Pepsi, when they introduced Pepsi into China? Their brand name was phonetically correct. So in Chinese, it was pronounced Pepsi. But it translated to, we bring your ancestors back from the dead. Now, now that's a brand promise that's Yeah, it lacks some credibility. Right? So that's, forget about we give you wings. That's wings. Who wants wings? Drink this. This will bring your ancestors back from the dead. Now the problem is in China, they didn't think that was funny because the Chinese culture places a very high value on ancestry and family and history, so that was a big blunder for them. But I think in the United States, I think that's very clever. We should develop our own energy drink. Forget about this, 5 hours? 5 hour. We have our own tagline for our brand, which is going to be, we bring your ancestors back from the dead. That's it. During midterms, finals, drink this. Drink this. Right?